Consider supporting Sonicguru Productions on Patreon for just $1 a month. Link below in the description. Hello and welcome to a very special Itembox podcast. As usual, I'm with Nikki, aka Worms T17, and as from last time, we have Jaime Tude, and for this special movie review, we have Morgan Ledger of Vaulting.
I had nothing to do today, so I figured, what the hell?
Well,
He's gate crashing,
you're
folks.
more of a movie guy than I am, so let's put it like that.
That is true. You know, James, I just realized something. You and me are here, but if we had Klusner here, this would be an official Dragon Mutants invasion, the more I think about it. You're on the side.
Oh yes, we will invade the podcasts, all of them.
Oh, well,
Like Deadpool, we will break the fourth wall.
Next up,
it's half and half. I can live with
next up, Animat's Crazy Cartoon Podcast.
Oh, we're almost there.
Yeah.
Oh.
So, as the title suggests, we have all seen Sonic the Hedgehog the movie. A couple of us saw it on release day. I know I'm guaranteed every single one. This video is going to come out, and everyone's going to say, "Yeah, people reviewed it already. Did it the day before." Twats.
Who cares? You know, the important thing is it's our voice, it's our opinion.
Yeah, do you know how tempted?
matter,
You know how
really.
tempted I was to book a ticket for the 13th for the advanced screening. The only thing that persuaded me differently to actually watch it on release day was the price.
Thought so. So you were gonna go see it Thursday night, right about the same time. Well, I should say right after those Birds of Prey maniacs struck on Twitter.
Yeah,
should we bring up that?
Yeah, let me advance. Let's address that.
Let's.
It's like people say, "Oh, we prefer Birds of Prey over Sonic." Fair enough. You like DC over Sega. I don't mind that. Be your own fan, okay? But to go, "Oh, I saw Sonic the Hedgehog with my children and I was flabbergasted by the fact that there was homophobic slurs and Sonic is nothing like what I knew when growing up. There's also racist remarks in there as well. Do not take your kids to this. Go see Birds of Prey instead." That's kind of a misquoted, but general like several tweets days before the fucking film released. There's that.
Yeah. I mean, in a nutshell, basically, this person went on a rave saying this movie is the reason why Birds of Prey isn't doing well, which is like, well, put this into account. A, the movie wasn't out yet at that point, the Sonic one. And B, you are aware this is a follow-up to another film which most people didn't care for because it had possibly I'm guessing now, the most defunct Joker ever made, because we just had another Joker film.
Yes.
So it's kind of a hard sell, I guess, in that way.
Also, the fact I think one of the facts as well, I think, is Sonic was a lot more marketed than Birds of Prey. Because how the hell do you market Birds of Prey?
Birds of Prey is a comic book movie, so it's obviously going to cater towards some sort of genre that people are interested in. The difference is you have a picture that could be easily marketed towards kids, also family as well. I mean, this had some jokes for the adults, but it wasn't too like immediately for the adults. Clearly they were skewing in between, and we'll get into the details of that much later. Whereas with Birds of Prey, one, it's an R-rated movie. Two, it's a DC comic book movie, so clearly it's gonna be
it's gonna struggle.
It's gonna gather interest. Yeah, it's gonna gather to the interest of those who are interested, and it's coming off of Suicide Squad 2, so you have two factors.
Which
you have
is being rebooted by James Gunn.
Yeah,
true.
Which was around about the time he got sacked from Disney because of a racist tweet, although that's not true. And now he's back doing it.
Yeah, thank you. I was just about to say.
Yeah.
I got worried.
He's back on Guardians.
Thank you.
Don't worry, he's back on doing it. So there you go. There's a weird thing that happened.
It's the same thing that happened years ago in '96 when Siskel and Ebert were reviewing Ghosts of Mississippi and Beavis and Butthead Do America. They saw Ghosts of Mississippi as a drama that failed, but yet Beavis and Butthead Do America as a comedy that succeeded because it was pure satire and they knew what they were going for. Movies cater to people who know what they want to see. If you don't want to see Birds of Prey, okay. If you want to see Birds of Prey, fine. It's made specifically for a certain audience, so you have no idea of knowing what's going to go for. When My Little Pony came out, no one knew there was going to be this whole slew of fans that were going to jump onto it, older fans.
Well, again,
fans, so
Yeah, I was going to say, I mean, MLP, I mean, nobody, if you said to me basically, oh, by the way, in the 21st century, MLP is really going to kick off, it's like, are you high or something?
And yeah, it's every product. Well, I shouldn't say product. Every film or TV show that comes out, you don't know who it's going to go for. You don't know who it's going to succeed towards. It really depends on that audience. And just recently, I released an episode of Spawn, which is a Patreon exclusive, and it clearly emphasizes that when you make something commercial towards a certain audience, it's going to vary on what they think about it. You're not going to know exactly what people are going to think. Oh, we have a PG-13 movie about a guy that goes to hell and he comes back as a superhero. Well, who's that going to go for?
Yeah.
Well, nowadays that goes for everybody.
Yeah.
Apparently even Harley Quinn fans who just yeah, that's the thing. Their audience was limited towards teenage boys who don't always come through, apparently.
Anyway,
I just want to say for the record, I just want to say sorry. I just want to say for the record, I've not seen Birds of Prey, so I can't say anything about it.
Yeah,
but
I'm gonna watch it on. I'm gonna watch it when it comes out on video. That's all.
Same.
So in a nutshell, this little quibble came up, and it's one of the few times where we thought there was going to be this big, huge internet drama. Didn't, because people did the sensible thing, laugh it off, and didn't affect the movie. So might as well get on to talk about the Sonic movie now.
Yeah.
Shall we jump straight to the end of our thoughts and then pick apart what we didn't like?
Around the board,
we're gonna do that.
Yeah, let's do that.
All right. Well, my thoughts on the movie. Have you tried the Olive Garden Super Bowl? I hear it's really never ending.
No, but I got sick after eating their calzone, so I don't bother going there anymore.
Okay.
The thing is, when I get another one in
Hey,
this thing
called Zillow? Have you ever tried Zillow before?
Mellow Yellow, anyone?
Beer called Corletta Light. I'm not a beer drinker, but what is Corletta Light?
Yeah. Well, speaking as a Brit, they don't mean anything to me, so whatever.
There you go. Yeah.
All right. Dan, you were going to say something?
I think your overall consensus right now is Sonic the Hedgehog, the movie, not the OVA. We have to establish that now.
The two-part anime that was turned into an English.
Yeah, we have. That's now to yeah. Overall, it's a good film, just not great.
Yeah,
like you can sit down, enjoy it. Parts of it are just, I would have done something differently. It's not what I would have seen. But I'm not sitting. I'm not sitting here going, "What the hell?"
Yeah, that's kind of the big thing at this point is that they, to judge this thing fairly, we have to sort of consider. Yes, we come. Me, Nikki, Dan, we all come from previous generations of fandom. This thing a year ago. It was gonna. It was doomed.
It
was under scrutiny because of the original Sonic design.
To say it was not a bitch fit is an understatement.
It was going to leave the starting line with a pickaxe in its head.
Yeah, exactly. It was ready to burn to the ground as soon as the release date came, and I would have been on the front lines laughing.
But to be fair, there was a part of me that was worried that I was going to go to the cinema and I see two people literally going, "Down with this sort of thing." Here's for now. If any of you know that reference, please tell me, because that is what I was both dreading, and yet I would be laughing if that happened in front of me.
Oh yeah, before it's too late, there will be spoilers in this review because we'll be picking apart certain scenes.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I'll do a preemptive spoiler one earlier on.
Things if Sonic came out last year, I wonder what would be the bigger inducing headache with the original design, of course. That one playing with fire, which replaced Sonic's release date, the John Cena Fireman movie where they look after some kids, or Cats, which came out in December. So it's like the lesser of two evils.
Yeah.
Well, at least Cats had a certain degree of imagination to it. It was just the
insanity
story. It was the story, the approach that they went that kind of could have been a lot better. shall we say?
Going off topic, I am familiar with the Sonic franchise. When I was young and we got a Sega Genesis, it came with Sonic 2, and I loved playing the hell out of that. I remember seeing the SatAM cartoon I was growing up. I think I collected a couple of comics until unfortunate storm flooded the basement and destroyed a good bulk of my comic collection.
Oh, God.
So don't worry, when I got a GameCube, we had like this Sonic collection on a disc that had all the originals from the first one up until Dr. Robotnik's Mean Bean Machine. So
Mega Collection,
Thank you. Mega Collection, as it was. So I know a good bulk of the Sonic lore, mythos franchise. I'm just not completely dipped into it, like, say, Doctor Who or Fraggle Rock. But I respect it. It's a very unique franchise, and I like it.
Yeah. Well, it's a good thing you're here because, again, as James said, we three have been through all the various incarnations through television, comics, and stuff. But you're the outsider where you have to judge this as a film made for kids that essentially don't know this character, but know the basis and whatever, and are happy to play loose with certain things. So
that is true.
Yeah. So again, it's interesting to see the reaction so far of this movie, which we'll get into later. But I'll get into my business. So I went into this with our two mates, Mike and Junior. And again, the thing was, I went in this thing, this has to be fun. That was my mainstay. After everything that's happened with the movie, with the whole, the trailer, people freaking out, and the VFX change, and layoffs, and all the kind of crazy whatever, my main worry was, am I not going to like this film as for what it is? Am I just going to sit there grouching and grumbling? Am I just going to be like bored, whatever? And I'm happy to say throughout the entire thing, I wasn't bored. I generally had a smile on my face pretty much all the way through. And for what it is, I think it's fair to say that on paper and in some, if you say it out to a person, it sounds like this is just a fire trash ready to happen. And yet somehow what they did, and I've said this with so many things, you can have a very simple, if not very predictable thing, but it's how you do it that matters. And what they've done here with the film is, I think they've nailed it in terms of making a fun film with a character whose gimmick is kind of lively, a bit egotistical, and has the ability to go very quickly places and just play with that in live action. And they did it. I'm surprised they did it. It's not a masterpiece. We'll get into that later. But
actually, I'd rather get into it now because going into this film, I don't know what I was expecting. And so because that's one thing about this film. You don't know what to expect with a Sonic film. The trailers kind of showed bits of it, and like we kind of predicted Sonic comes to Earth and all that as bits of it. It's like as the biggest fan out of the four of us so far, I've got quite a bit to say.
Yeah, I can't wait to hear.
There's going to be a lot of blurting from him.
This film is, I would call it kind of a run-of-the-mill kind of thing for a family film. Because best way to describe it is get your family film bingo card out. You got to get 4 lines done.
Hey, that's me and James' joke. We own copyright to that.
Really, I thought about it. I just thought about it on the ride home from Walmart. So
there you go.
That's what I could describe this film. It's like it's not a bad film, but it's not a great film. It's something you can put on and just be perfectly happy with.
Yeah, it could have been. We all know it. It could have been better. There's, but again, considering from where it started to where it is, where they decided, we need to be able to have a reach. They needed to be able to reach the fans at some sort of a midpoint. They needed to create a new set of lore for this potential set of new films.
I wouldn't say it's a new set of lore. I'll say it's a tweaked lore. It's like if I was the biggest thing was basically getting Sonic's look and character right, and that was nailed.
Yeah, I would say that is the biggest.
It's the tweaked lore here and there.
Yeah, I was going to say the biggest thing I think one of the reasons it's done so well is I think it's ultimately down to how a Sonic is portrayed, not visually but personality, and that was something I remembered even back with the first trailer. Was I didn't mind what he looked like. I know that sounds odd after everything, but I was more curious about how is he going to come off personality wise, because I was worried that he could easily become annoying. He could become a very annoying character, and
Technically,
I'm surprised.
he is.
I know he is in places, but it could really grate on people. And I thought, a lot of the lines I heard from the trailers, like, I bet that's going to piss people off and just, shut up, you moron. But, it's done well. So, again, I think credit is down to, again, how Sonic is portrayed, both written and performed by Ben, for instance. So, yeah, I think that's a lot of the success goes down to that.
I think for me personally, when I look back on this film, this is gonna sound ironic. I went with a friend of mine from high school named Dan to see this because usually we go out to see like all the comedies and stuff because he's very selective on film choices. So I got to be really careful with what I pitch to him. And so earlier in the week, I sent him a message saying, "Hey, you want to go see Jim Carrey go snidely whiplash on a hedgehog?" And he was like, "Oh, I didn't know that was coming out." So no, we went inside. There were a couple of families there and some 20, 30-year-olds, which was like, oh, okay, there's a couple of people there from like college or high school that are here. That's good. And just watching this film, there were 2 or 3 movies that came to mind when I was seeing this. And keep in mind, I enjoyed them. But believe me, I enjoyed these movies I'm going to make the comparison to. One is Casper, and the other is The Flintstones.
Why The Flintstones?
Yeah, I can see that, yeah.
Casper, I get. I don't get Flintstones.
Because I like Flintstones.
No, nobody's saying no. We're not saying no to that.
Sonic,
this is the kind of movie.
He is Sonic. He's the fastest hog.
And his best friend's a fox who flies around with 2 tails attached to his rear.
We gotta get
with baby
from the town of Green Hills.
Beating Robotnik when he gets. So I make that comparison because those 2 properties, especially Flintstones, because Flintstones was actually directed by a fan and written by a fan. What went wrong with the Flintstones was the casting, because the Flintstones was not a kid show to begin with. Season 1 was actually in prime time for adults. But I say that because clearly this is a movie not just for the fans, but also for younger audiences who are getting into it or have no idea what Sonic is. So clearly, what they're trying to do here is set this character up and get this idea of what he's like, his universe, and things like that. The minor complaints I've been hearing is, "Oh, why could it just be set in his own world?" And da-da-da-da-da. It's like, I had to think about that for a second, because it's like, well, you're setting up a character, and what he's like and what's going on, his connection with Robotnik. And I think if you had those 2 elements in his alien world, that would be a little tricky to do, trying to find a plot to follow with that. So setting him to Earth, that's playing it safe. At the same time, it does make sense, because that would be perfect setup for a follow-up where you can get more characters and more things in that universe. So I wasn't really on the fence or against that concept. It's like, oh, okay, maybe that could work. Let's see how that pulls off. Okay, here's the short end of it, just so I'm not sounding like Michael Palin from A Fish Called Wanda. I liked it. I thought it was a fun film. I thought it was fine. I thought it was just like those movies I saw when I was a kid, where it's serviceable, playing it to its audience, and just playing it safe with it. Yeah, but they're relatively minor. Like really, really minor. And they're the same that people have been saying, like, oh, it's cliche and things like that. Well, at least I'm not like the super wanker brothers who are nitpicking it to high hell.
Yeah, but yeah.
You should have heard them. No. Dan, you're gonna love this cringe, because Rob Wanker was all like, ooh, wouldn't it be great if they just had a kid go to Sonic's universe? No, it's called Sonic X, and it didn't work for a reason.
Originally, Sonic X Season 3 wasn't even made in was made exclusively for the American audience, despite having a Japanese audio. And only recently, it actually is airing in Japan.
Yeah, that's the irony. It's only just started airing.
That's the thing about it, is that there's one way this movie could have ended. Hi, Sonic. I'm Chris.
Yeah.
No, it's making it even worse. That little kitty befriends Midway. What if her name was Christine?
Ooh, she's the rule.
No.
Rule 63.
No, wait. Sally.
Oh, that's twisting the knife, and that is twisting the knife.
Yeah, I couldn't hear because of the connection.
He said, "What if her name was Sally?"
Yes.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Burn!
Twisting the knife in.
Officer Tom Acorns.
Yeah.
Instead of naming him after Wachowski sibling.
Yeah.
So, what we would, in terms of Sonic's character, I wanted to give a little bit about this. Okay, so we've had Sonic in the video games, who in the beginning did not have much character. He was just finger wagging and just exuding attitude with his presence. That was fine. The personality came later. We had the Sonic in the cartoons and the comics, where yes, he was cocky.
I'm over there.
Yes.
And depending on which continuity you were following, he was somewhere in between being a comical, witty character and actually, the way I see it, kind of a warrior who's been fighting a war his whole life. And so here we have a Sonic where he's been he comes to Earth as a little kid. He's been told by an owl who could have used a little bit more screen time, I think.
Yeah, we'll get to that.
To never show himself to anybody and never because they're going to try and exploit his powers. And
the clan of the Knuckles.
The clan of the
again, we'll get to that.
Thank you, Echidnas. I almost mispronounced it.
And and so he's growing up in this town, not really talking to anybody, making up names for everybody like Donut Lord and Pretzel Lady, which
Easy Carl.
Crazy Carl. That ought to be his name if that's not already established.
I keep wanting to say Crazy Eddie for some reason.
I would have loved it so much if Mickey Rooney was playing that character.
I was looking at this character. I was like, "What is it? How did this character get out of Camp Blood?" He's got the death curse.
He's got like a chili dog in his finger.
So what I look at here is, he's superpowers, but he's also lonely. You do feel sorry seeing everybody in the shadows, and that's where this movie worked, is that when he's finally exposed, when he's finally comfortable enough to when he's finally put in a position where he has to interact with Tom the policeman, the chemistry comes off as he's a bit of a socially awkward teenager who's actually still figuring out his powers. I was looking at him and I was saying, this is Peter Parker.
I think about it that way.
Yeah, that's
the whole friend thing I got, but the idea of being alone for so long, and in the beginning we see him just sort of bounce back and forth like something out of Jerry's Game, where there's like a Sonic here as a psychiatrist and him there when he's playing baseball, he's playing all the players. That was clever. I thought that was perfect. That added to the whole.
The scene later in the trailer when they're actually in the motel, it's like he's doing like several things at once, including having a pillow fight with himself.
Yeah.
I had to watch. I had to see that clip over and over. I was like, look, he's running around. He keeps changing the channel several times. It's like that's me with Netflix. But there's one thing I noticed as well while watching the film is on the wall he's spinning the picture around and around.
What? Well, if you have powers like that, why not?
Yeah. Here's a thought. When a character is so lonely for a while, doesn't he kind of develop sort of a sense of schizophrenia?
I was going to say that there's an element of he has like personality quirks, like you said, the psychiatrist thing. He's admitting he's a lonely person while talking to himself, and even the sequence where he's in the roof,
the attic, and he's like trying to hide the ball, and he's talking to himself. It's like, shut up, isn't it? Yeah. I was like, I thought that was a little clever if they played around.
No, that's a fun. I like that's a new quirk they put in, because, like I said, the thing with this, they're going to introduce new things. This character is not done in the other edition, so I like that as like a new quirk for him,
like an ADHD Sonic.
Yeah.
Well, because considering his pulse is in the hundreds.
Yeah. Yes.
And so. So with the audience that I went to go see this with, let me tell you, I went in there wearing a pair of yellow Converse sneakers that Cody bought me for Christmas a while back. Yeah, Tails flavored, and my little Sonic doll that Morgan got me for Christmas, and a little Tails doll I've had for a while.
He said it was bigger. Damn it, bigger.
But now I have two of them that match that are the right size. You know, they match each other, and I go in there. I was so ready. They sell merchandise at that theater. I was so ready to buy a Sonic T-shirt if they had one. I ended up getting an icy cup instead, because in terms of merchandise, all they had was Harley Quinn.
Go again. Go on.
Oh, you're gonna love this. When me and Dan went to the concession stand, at the theater I have, and I apologize because I can't convert British currency at this time. For a super combo special for a large popcorn and a large drink, it's like $9. And usually they give us like these. Yeah. No, thank you. I appreciate that. So we order one, and usually they give us like this, paper bowl for the popcorn. You know what they were giving out instead? Plastic bowls of the Star Wars Rise of the Skywalker movie. I'm just sitting there going, "Oh my goodness, how many left of these are there?" I'm like, I don't want to keep this as a mentor for the Sonic movie. Trash bin.
Listen, why won't you just die already?
I don't like this movie. I don't want this sitting over in my crusty living room.
So
even my mother is still disheveled. Hey, you want to see the Mandalorian, mother? No.
I still have yet to see Rise of Skywalker. Don't say anything.
Yeah, well, I mean, if we won't go any further because I think we'll get a lot of hate for that, so let's get away from that quickly.
All I'm just saying is they had leftover popcorn buckets, and they're just giving them out like, here you go. So,
yeah.
So I get in the theater, and the audience filters in. I had teenage girls in my audience. Just saying, it's always a good sign when you have teenage girls in your audience. They're the best.
They weren't on their phones, were they?
Huh?
They weren't on their phones, like started looking at it and not like chatting on the text or anything like that, were they?
No, they but they were definitely laughing along with everything. There weren't too many kids. There definitely weren't too many kids in the audience, but I noticed all the kids were laughing at the same jokes they saw in the trailer. So at least that worked.
Yeah.
And I'm sort of sitting in between my dad and my friend Robert, whose ticket I covered because it was his birthday. And I'm watching this thing. I enjoyed it. I was just wondering the whole time how much they were enjoying it, because I was looking left and right. They just sort of stared at the screen.
You did the same thing too.
They this new take. At the end of it all, I did have a discussion with him, and turns out, well, yeah, my dad liked it. He said, "quote unquote," a fun romp, like he always does. And as the credits are going with their flashy title sequence and whatnot, am I jumping too far ahead? Let me know if I am.
Well, you're talking about your cinema experience, so finish that and then get on to the next stuff.
As we're going through that nice flashy title sequence brought to us by the sound of Wiz Khalifa, who I think could have done a little bit of a better job. I talked to my buddy Robert, and he says, "How do you like?" I said, "How do you like the movie?" He's like, "It could have been. It was funny, but it could have been better. Like, they could have had." They could have had Tails in there, and they could have had Knuckles, and who's that? And who's that? The one pink hedgehog. I was like, Amy, yeah,
the
Amy.
girl one.
And then suddenly we get to the mid credit scene. You guys know what I'm talking about.
Yeah. I know the one where Jim Carrey goes apocalypse now. He's shaving his head.
Yeah. The mushroom. We gotta talk about that later on.
Yeah, even my friend Dan was like, if I don't see him bald with a twisty mustache, this is going to be a big disappointment. Oh, there it is.
That's what Robert said, too. He's I remember in the games he was bald, in egg-shaped, and And so I'm like, okay, they got to that very end part, and it's like, okay, satisfied.
That's what I said about this being an introduction. They're not going gun-ho and throwing things in. They're making a slow development. I think that's a smart idea. It's a little too safe, but it's like, yeah, if you're going to do this whole big franchise thing, I can see this burning out for maybe an extra 2 more sequels. Because if you're going to go and do this whole big other story and this is the introduction, okay, I'm on board with that. Just make the other 2 films bigger than this one.
Exactly. Do more world building. Show us more of Sonic's world next time around. I want to see
Mushroom World from Sonic and Knuckles.
Yeah, we'll get on to that.
One thing I want to talk about, because it's been in my mind like this morning, is Jim Carrey's Eggman. I know it's called Robotnik, but shut up.
Same thing, whatever.
Yeah. One thing he said in an interview was like why he took the role of Robotnik is like he likes playing characters with a sense of intelligence, but kind of marred by it.
Like Ace Ventura.
Yeah, and that's the comparison in my head I was doing. It's like it's the opposite of Ace Ventura in a sense.
In a sense, yeah.
Because Ace Ventura is intelligent. He is very smart at what he does, which is in animal cases, in missing, understanding animals. But he's wacky about it. Has a facade of being funny. Whereas Eggman, he has to be the smartest person in the room. He knows everything.
Yeah.
But he has to be the smartest person, whereas Ace Ventura doesn't.
Yeah. It's funny because the very first thing we heard when this movie was being made was Jim Carrey's Robotnik, which is like, well, what? It's like perfect casting. You got someone to play an egocentric maniac. It's like, who else would you want for that role?
Well, let's see. The way that I saw his take on the character, and I did watch a lot of the same interviews, he said his take on it was a case of a character who was definitely an intelligent person, but just somebody whose intelligence was not able to be matched by heart, and that's where he said he was, quote, spiritually dumb, and I got that. I got that out of his character because he's going into his own personal backstory and talking about how he was an orphan when he was a kid, how he was
beating up people.
He got beat up by one guy, and he's like, I'm not gonna lose another fight again after that. I can see this. This is a Robotnik with some disturbing layers to him, which I don't think has been attempted before, not even in the Sat AM cartoon or the comics, where they do go into his backstory. It's just here we have he's such an intelligent character. He's setting up. He's got his own dance room with holograms. What was up with that dinosaur biting his head off?
I don't know. Maybe so he could burn more calories.
I guess it's his psyche, really.
It's like I'm just doing this because I can do this.
Yeah.
I think my friend Dan said it best. If you have an evil giant lab and have time to kill, what would you do?
Yeah.
Masturbate? No. Have a wank? No.
No. That's a different.
No,
that's a different person.
No, we do that. No, we do that in the interval anyway.
Rick Mail is Dr. Robotnik.
Oh, that's another universe. I know. In another universe, that would have happened, but
or Chris Farley as Robotnik.
In the 90s.
Yeah, no, he's a little too nice to be Robotnik. I just thought of that.
But
it wouldn't work.
Yeah, no, if we got the Tommy Boy side of Chris Farley, yeah, that could work.
It's funny because I can't think of any other actor who could play Robotnik, and I was talking to Dan Swallow earlier about this as well, and it's like I just really can't think of any other person. And the closest I could think of off the top of my head was Steve Carell, but that'd be a little too Guru-ish because he already has that whole thing.
Yeah, I mean, Guru is in a similar vein to Robotnik, though. Again, there's a different side to it.
And even then, with Robotnik's character, from my point of view, he's a very loud character. He's a very manic character. He's a mad scientist. So you want to go with someone that has a persona and energy that does match that craziness and madness. Now, is Jim Carrey the perfect pick? I'm not 100% sure. It was a performance that was entertaining, but at the same time, I would have loved to see maybe a more sinister performance at best.
The first actor that comes to mind that could, I guess, a physical resemblance would be Vincent D'Onofrio. But again, he'll just be doing.
Oh, I didn't think about that.
He'll just be doing Kingpin again, but a bit more
whiny.
Yeah. We don't want that soft-spoken mama's boy as our Robotnik. I'm sorry.
Yeah. But I'll say this:
this was still a very unpredictable performance at best. I'll give it that much. I mean, when you unleash a Jim Carrey in the room, you don't know what to expect. That's
my problem. I have with Jim Carrey as Robotnik. He's just being Jim Carrey.
Yeah,
and a lot of people like that. Don't get me wrong. I like Jim Carrey. I like the 3 Tom Shadyac films he's been in. I like the Ace Ventura 2. I like Jim Carrey as an actor and as a person. It's just that's not the Robotnik I would see. Like I like the I like the egotistical maniac coming out because that's what he is. He goes throughout. It's like he knows he's the smartest person in the room. He knows he can get shit done. He has more resources than the U.S. Army. And it dwells and just goes further and further each level to a point where his obsession is what's currently pushing him.
Yeah. I was going to say this with Jim Carrey is again normally because when he does these things he becomes a screen hog. You know, I think at the very worst Jim Carrey is a screen hog. Whenever he's on, he does his shtick and it's just like he takes over the film for how long a time it is. I will say, watching this, I do feel that there's a bit more strain on him. It's not like let him on there and let him just go great shit or something. There's a little bit more strain
there, yeah.
Yeah, I think a lot more is maybe because he's older now or whatever. Maybe they're able to take again the best stuff and then use that for the film and then make sure it makes sense and it works for the character. Like I said, I feel, and again, it's actually one thing that made me laugh is actually that thinking about it, like talking about the menacing again, as you said, there are times where he comes off and dominates over people, as in the first time we see him, he talks to that soldier and he's pretty much just saying to him, you will equate to nothing in this life, whereas I've done so much.
That's true. By the way, is it just me, or was that soldier the voice actor of Grounder and Robotnik?
No, he was earlier on. He was in the government scene. He was in
it was the one closest.
I was trying to remember where he was because I read up on Wikipedia. He did a cameo.
Oh, trust me, Mike was in there, and he went like, "That's him." You know.
Yeah, everyone was pointing that out. Yeah, this is a voice. Yeah, I was like, yo, I remember this guy. He's a guy I got in a political argument with over Facebook. No.
Really?
Oh boy.
I don't want to get into. I don't want to get.
Let's say that for another time.
There's one rule of this podcast: you leave politics out of it. It's all about entertainment.
Yeah.
Anyway, is it just me, or was there a missed opportunity when Robotnik was going to Tom's house? He says he's from the power company. I was saying, please say you're the cable guy. Please say you're the cable guy.
That's you being a Jim Carrey fan, though. I think that's you. So that
is me. And coming from someone who's seen a lot of his performances, have you seen that Jim and Andy documentary?
No, I haven't. No.
Oh, please do. That shows what happens.
Yeah, he's written a book. Yeah.
That's what happens when you do a lot of method acting and take things out of control. So I'd say definitely give that a watch. It's on Netflix and it's worth it. But I know he can limit that ball of insanity. But here, you're right. I just see him playing Jim Carrey as a mad scientist. But is it a bad performance? No, it was entertaining. There were still things about it that was just unique.
Who this character is. I think at the end of the day, if you say Robotnik, he's an egotistical guy who wants to show how great he is by literally putting his face everywhere, that's pretty much Robotnik.
I mean, it's not like Doc Brown from Back to the Future who's trying to change the world or anything. And we know Christopher Lloyd can do manic personalities, but this is not Christopher Lloyd is not the person you want to play Robotnik because he's a little more subdued and sinister. This is more of a louder and sinister character.
Also more whimsical. I got with this performance, I was actually getting a hint of Grinch mixed with every time he did the robot routine, I just kept on going. In the back of my mind, I just kept on going back to that nerdy villain guy from Grandma's Boy, which was a terrible movie. But
I actually found that funny.
But that guy stole the show. Seen it. That guy stole the show, just doing adios, turd nuggets.
Oh, yeah. I just realized something. I think I know exactly what they were going here with this. Did anyone see the first Superman movie with Christopher Reeve?
No.
I know of it, yeah. Go on.
You showed it to me.
I think I know the direction they were taking with the Robotnik in the movie here. It's almost similar to Gene Hackman's performance as Lex Luthor. So I think they were kind of going in that direction where he's an egomaniac that is so intelligent and smart that he's literally swimming in his intelligence. So I think that's exactly the direction they're going with this one, but a little more on sugar and caffeine.
Yeah, I think a better comparison is Jesse Eisenberg's Luthor, but done right.
Oh God, don't get me started.
Yeah, that's different guy.
I know, but it's just his performance of being a bit wacky and in his own intelligence. That's not Luthor though. That's not Jesse Eisenberg's Luthor. Is not Lex Luthor. But
no, that's
the actual performance and the idea of being swimming in it. That's what Jim Carrey's doing.
Yeah,
that's why I said Eisenberg's Luthor, but done right.
Yeah, can I just say while we stick and we'll move on to a different thing. But one thing I found funny is there's a lot of repertoire between Jim and Tom, Robotnik and Tom. In fact, the first scene we get with them, talking in front of the doorway and him trying to barge in, him stopping him. I'm surprised there's a lot more of an antagonizing between them two than there is with Sonic and Robotnik. I mean, they do see each other, but it's not quite the thing. There seems to be more going on with the cop character and the mad scientist than there is with the blue hedgehog. I'm not complaining because it's fun. I think, again, James Master, who plays Tom in this film, again, we were all skeptical. We all, again, point of view character doesn't always work because everybody's different anyway. But they made his character like he has to deal with this crazy stuff, and he's kind of like he's the straight man having to go, okay, here we go, type deal. And he does it well. I think he does a pretty good job. And in a way, you could view one thing I was kind of wondering about, particularly with the way this film going, is you could see him as like the adopted father of Sonic in this film. I thought that was something that we're going to do a lot more, that he's going to end up trying to nurture him, i.e. he's the son, essentially. I thought there was going to be a subplot of him and his wife wanting a kid, but they couldn't because of some reason. But I was surprised that never turned up.
I was wondering about that when I got to the end. I'm like, wait a minute, was there a whole subplot that got deleted or something? Was there a pardon my French, was there a miscarriage or something of that nature? That was really dark term, but it's like,
I know, I mean, it's getting to that pointless, you got to put this in because a lot of kids' movies did this, it's like one of the abandoned ideas for the Sonic movie was about...
like Casper.
Oh, God, yeah, but, it's like, it's a pointless thing, you don't need it in this context.
Exactly. I think it's just sort of, okay, they are, him and the wife are, they're plot point sort of characters. They serve to just lightly. Tom's a lot more active in there. His wife, on the other hand, is just there to give him smelling salts. Apparently,
they're surrogate characters, basically.
So, but yeah, they don't. I just have one question though. Where did his niece get those sneakers?
I was thinking of that.
His niece.
Yeah, that when he brings in, when they get to San Francisco, there's the lady who faints to seeing him. Is like,
the mother-in-law.
You always got to have a crazy black lady in the film. That's a law now.
I know. I mean, that's something I was going to bring up. Don't worry. Don't at us, folks. For God's sakes, don't at us or anything. But I will say, I liked her. She was bearable. I mean,
she was funny. It wasn't it wasn't like Dudley from the Three Stooges who's doing this over the top. This house has gone crazy. It was tolerable.
Exactly. I'm just saying.
I know that kind of racist when I said it. It's like, but it's the thing I'm seeing quite a bit. It's like it always has to be a crazy African American.
There's like the sassy black person. I don't see that as racism. It's like some weird filmic thing. It's like this exists only in movies than the real world, which, again, don't at us, folks. But I'm glad they didn't go that really annoying, like Big Mama's House stuff. It's like, oh God, I would take my eyeballs out and squish them in the cinema if that stuff happened.
There's
I
only
blame
one way.
Medina.
There's only one way to make this better. You know that scene in Animal House where they go to that bar with the black people?
Oh boy.
That caused a lot of controversy with the studio because they saw riots in their mind. So they screened that scene for Richard Pryor to see if it was offensive or not offensive. And Richard Pryor was laughing his ass off so much that when the executive asks, well, is it funny? Pryor just calmly said, you know what's funny? White people. That's how the scene stayed.
Yeah.
But anyway, back to Sonic. No, I thought the character was fine.
Yeah, I mean, the niece is like the shoe thing. Actually, again, something. If you see the trailers, obviously he's got his regular sneakers on, but throughout the film, he's got like these makeshift shoes because
it's got sticks. It's
like,
got
even
sticks
from the
feet
first
on. It's got sticks as shoes.
Yeah, he's got like one duct taped around. You know, that's meant to be like the white stripe over one of them. And again, it's sort of a hint that he's gone so many pairs of shoes he keeps wearing them out. So I guess the excuse in this film that they are Pumas, like regular branded Pumas that look like that, but we all know they're just there because we want them.
No, here's the thing about that, though. I want to address this very quickly. Is that the type of shoe that it actually is a real brand of shoe.
It's
just that colorization design doesn't exist other than that prop.
They created 5 prop replicas for advertising this movie, but what they don't tell you is they created those just for promotion. And that I think was a huge that is a huge missed opportunity for merchandising.
Yeah,
you would make so much money by selling those shoes.
Well, the movie still. Sorry,
this feels like the Talk Boy from Home Alone 2 all over again. What? It doesn't exist? Okay, we gotta manufacture them.
Yeah, I've got one. I've actually got a Talk Boy. Still got it even to this very
so
day.
do I.
Yeah,
I don't know if it works, but it's a good prop.
Yeah, but
coming up next, we need to actually make a good-looking Sonic movie doll and a good-looking baby Sonic doll, not the creepy-ass ones that we've gotten.
Can you imagine what the
Go
family
to Build
like
a Bear. There exists there.
Can you imagine be like if the shoes come out and the amount of fan criticism? The shoes are supposed to go this way, like the stripe. It's 2 inches where it's supposed to be. The lacings are red. They're supposed to be white.
Here's the thing, though.
Morgan,
the other design of the shoe, I think it's called. I'm looking at it right now. It's called the Suede Classic, or just the Suede Classic. They exist. It's just the stripe going around the back, up and around the back.
Yeah.
So, all these there is a Suede PS, or Suede Junior.
Well, considering the movie, sorry.
Yeah, they exist. It's just I'm trying to look for the other brand. Go on.
Yeah.
Oh.
So. What were we gonna say?
I was going to say, I mean, the Sonic movie is still raking a lot of cash at this moment, so I wouldn't be surprised if suddenly Paramount decided, how can we keep this milk train going? It's like, well, you know, the shoes people talk about.
I mean, I was going to save this to the end, but over here it's grossed an estimation of $57 million.
It's
almost 100. Just broke 100 million worldwide.
I was looking at this. Okay, it's getting a sequel. If they don't give this a sequel, but the Addams Family movie gets a sequel, which by the way I enjoyed. I'm taking a shotgun. But anyway,
shoot him in the back. I'll shoot him in the back.
No, I'm gonna get a crossbow and shoot Uncle Fester.
Poor. Is it that bad?
Running gag? Oh man.
But yeah, I was watching that Variety article that you shared, Morgan, on Friday, and I said, and it said back then it's on schedule to get a $40 million weekend, and as the day went on, they kept updating that. It was beautiful. It was saying schedule, and it's an estimate. We've updated this now. It's an estimated $50 million weekend, $60 million weekend by the end of the weekend. Now it's estimated, as we're recording this, Sunday.
Sunday.
Sunday, February 16th, 2020 at 1:22 p.m. It is still scheduled to break $70 million by the end of the 4-day President's Day weekend.
Well, it's already topped last year's Detective Pikachu to become the largest 3-day opening for a video game adaptation.
Yeah.
Yeah, one thing I'll say as well about, we keep distracting, we're not really focusing on the plot of the film.
The plot of the film?
It is...
Oh, we got a plot, have we?
Yeah,
keep your fucking eyes peeled.
Again, I brought this up because, especially compared to Detective Pikachu, because that's the immediate comparison for live-action adaptations of cuddly animals.
No, I would not compare that one, because they're two different entities.
It's from two different backgrounds, but relatively the same, because you're adapting what is otherwise a unrealistic animal. And you're incorporating that into the real world, especially what lore behind it, except Pokemon still had its lore in its world. It was still a world of Pokemon, whereas Sonic is Earth, not Mobius. And I'm not unlearning that for a fucking second, okay, Izuka? I am not unlearning that fucking thing.
Hey, that's all you. That's all you.
Yeah,
I'm
don't worry.
25 years of calling Mobius and Mobians. Fuck you.
Yeah.
But relatively, they're kind of the same.
Yeah.
Sonic's plot is actually very straightforward. It is a run-of-the-mill kind of plot. It's buddy movie, Alien. It's like Chipmunk, Smurfs, Hop, which also starred James Monson with
this is better than those. This is much
Detective
better than
Pikachu. It's good, but its plot is fucking weird.
It's a noir. It's a detective noir, but where it falls apart is the villain's plan. So you want to become a Mewtwo and turn into a Pokemon? Where's the benefit of that? I don't want to turn into a side
under great stress. Mewtwo can merge human and Pokemon together. And when that gets announced, you're like, oh, we know who the father is.
Well, I was just going to say with that is what I find funny about Detective Pikachu, actually, there's two things I'll say about it. I'll make it quick.
Over to Ryan Reynolds.
Sorry, I'll try to be quick. One is that Bill Nighy plays essentially the main character not the main character, but like the main antagonist, who starts off like Professor Xavier. He wants everybody to join together. He has the city, he even has a machine that could show off things that have already happened and stuff. And at the very end, he suddenly has this Magneto plan where he wants everybody to merge into this, want to be all the same. So it's like, wow, who would have thought that would have happened?
It's kind of sad when Godzilla King of the Monsters has the Beto eco-terrorist plot than Detective Pikachu does. And at least with Sonic the Hedgehog, you have, again, this mad scientist that sees this new power and is trying to harness it to either A, take over the world, or just improve his craft, or maybe a little bit of both.
Hey, if we're all going to turn into Pokemon at the end of the day, can I... What?
Could be what, sorry?
Morgan should know. But anyway.
Can you be a what? I didn't hear you cut off there.
Can I be an Oshawott?
Yeah,
I thought
sure.
your choice was gonna be. I thought your choice was gonna be Electric Buzz.
No, he wants to.
Or a Buizel.
He wants to be. He wants to be a water otter.
Exactly.
So what is Robotnik's plan in this movie? I'm trying to remember. He's trying to.
He's been working for the government to work on technology for them to advance warfare, all that stuff. That's why the whatever you want to call them, the egg drones, I guess.
I know Eggman, so yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, the egg drones. So that's his initial plan. He seizes to better his machines because he trusts in them. Because that's what his thing. Where Sonic does trust in people, Robotnik only trusts in machines because they don't let him down. That's his shtick.
Yeah, the whole bully there. When I was finished with him, he was eating lunch through a straw.
Yes,
I was spitting out formula as well. You were spitting up formula. I was fresh with that.
I was breastfed.
Yeah. I remember that. I remember hearing.
I can't believe they put that in.
That was one of the first lines I remember getting blurred out from the film, and I remember thinking to myself, that was going to be like, oh, I bet people are going to be so pissed. They're going to be like, oh, you shouldn't put that as a side product. And I heard it, and I was with Junior and Mike. We heard it, and it worked. That little gag worked for the most part. Like I said,
it was it just me, or was I just thinking of me?
Jim. Really? If he wants to think about it.
I just let it slide. Like I let the joke slide about Sonic eating chili dogs and farting afterward.
Well, we do have a scene. We do have a scene of him
Didn't
actually
have a
eating.
problem with
That was
that.
something Dan I know particularly wanted to see because they've been advertising nachos for a food time for some reason.
Yeah, the In-N-Out tacos. It's like not In-N-Out. Jack in the Box. It's like
That was it.
Really? There's not a Jack in the Box fucking near me.
It's kind of weird because when they have that bar scene, Sonic's trying to be incognito and like, gets convinced to like a bucket list and stuff, and then they do
there's a couple of critics out there who actually
dressing up as that. I'm so looking forward to doing
There's a couple of critics who actually hate that scene. It's like it's very stereotypical. Oh, they have a very wacky side to it. Like that's kind of the point of these kind of films. Like that's the bingo card analogy. It's kind of
that's the turtles dressing up in a fedora and a trench coat.
Mm-hmm. They're it's I was actually looking at that scene and sort of getting Howard the Duck vibes. I don't know why. But they had a missed opportunity. They should have had Pee-wee right outside knocking over motorcycles.
Say we kill him! Yeah!
I say we hang him. I say we hang him.
I'm trying to get restraint here because there's certain scenes I want to pick apart, and I really want to go straight after Longclaw.
We will.
Yeah, let's talk about this.
This is all spoiler territory now. This is all spoilers.
I'll just quickly. Can we just? I just want to bring up this one last thing with the bar scene. I do like the fact that they play this up. It's the scene I remember thinking of, the whole scene where everything slows down. He sets up all the whole things, everybody tripping up, whatever.
Yeah, the mummy paper.
Yeah, the thing I was thinking of. This is basically the Quicksilver scene from Days of Future Past, but this is a lot more fun to watch.
Yeah.
What I found even funnier is that when we have this near the end where he pushes the two off the building so he can save them later on and does the whole, playing with the missiles and stuff. The fact the twist is Robotnik then finds a way to actually go at the same speed as him. Yes. I thought that's a nice version of that bit.
I thought that was a good setup there. That was great how the two just collided. Like, well, there's got to be a risk here. Oh, yeah, he has Sonic's power. That makes it even more interesting.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But again, it's a great way of showing off
that's a little thing as well. I'll get to that.
Yeah, but let's get on to lore,
all spoilers throughout. Longclaw being just an owl, not an Afro owl. Even though we have bird characters who look like Mobians, Jet, Wave, and Storm. Not to mention, if you're going for more, bit more Afro-looking ones, there's a hawk in the comics.
Yeah,
and just why is she just an owl? I'm tempted to draw. I'm tempted to draw a freaking Mobian Longclaw. I just see some good pictures of her. It's just,
you think when they had the original realistic Sonic design, you think that character was more connected to that design?
Probably.
Yeah.
Probably.
But at the same time, it's like they spend like $5 million to redesign Sonic, but they couldn't do that to the owl. Like
they did to the echidnas. They're clearly echidnas. Also, why the fuck are the echidnas in there?
Yeah.
They're straight out of the video game. Just you'd see like the eyes and the dreadlocks.
The dreadlocks. I mean, they got like a get up so you don't see their face fully, but you can tell from the body shape it's them.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the echidnas are meant to be dead. Okay, I know it's morbid, but that is lore.
Well, that's Dan's fault. So the echidnas are meant to be dead, never to be used.
There's one echidna, arguably two if you follow Sonic Chronicles, which I do. There's technically two echidnas, but okay, Knuckles is the last fucking echidna. That's his backstory. The last echidna on the planet.
And oh wow, we have a fanboy here. Okay, so
I told you you barely dipped your toes in, Morgan. I fucking sunk down to the bottom. I've got a bar stool. I've got a whiskey sour in my hand. I'm living a life, buddy.
He's having he's having his moment here where he's just like, you just merely tasted this fan base. I was born in it.
Oh my god!
I was born in darkness.
Oh my god! Oh, I'm actually crying.
I was born in the speed.
Yeah.
So like I said, this movie's an introduction. Maybe they die off, and the sequel comes in.
Who knows?
Is the only one.
Knuckles is only 1 year older than him, though. What the fuck?
Okay.
Anyway, this is what I mean by fan tangent. This is what I mean is like this is what our fans end up doing. Though Danny's one of the more sane ones, so you'll safe.
This is up there.
Yeah.
Oh, this is up there with Doctor Who, the TV enemy within movie. With
I know.
Executing the master and the Doctor coming in and getting the ashes.
I know. Christ Almighty, I've been there, done that.
Oh, I can't breathe.
But anyway, I do
think. Nope.
Yeah, but I do find it funny that I did going in. I mean, I avoided most of the spoilers, but I did see an image. I think it was one of the storyboards of the owl. So I went in thinking, okay, there's an owl involved here somehow. So I went in with that. But I do find it interesting because I said this to Dan before: is never in the games have they ever chronicled where Sonic came from, or do you have parents or whatever. In the comics and the cartoons, they've done that a few times, but they never fully developed. So having an owl, so having this character essentially as like an adopted mother, essentially, because that's who she is at long haul. Is basically she's an adopted mother to this character, which she must have found at some point and has been nurturing and been training him, protecting him all his life. So again,
can you imagine her nursing him?
Oh no!
Oh god!
Come Sonic, it's time. Come Sonic, it's time for your breakfast.
Please. I even before I saw the Sonic movie, Dan was introducing me to interspecies reviewers, so I don't want to. I don't want to think of that image.
Yeah, I closed that off my brain just to make sure I go on with life.
Oh my goodness.
But yeah,
I think when I saw this character, actually the closest comparison I was thinking was Oji-san from the OVA, but that was about it.
I was wondering about that.
Actually, the thing I was thinking of was the owl from Night's Journey of Dreams. That was the first thing I thought of.
What did you think of the idea of using the rings as portals? Because I don't think that's something that was in the game. I thought that was interesting.
You can use the rings as warp rings. That's something they've just say, okay, let's use that as
like, okay, it makes sense why he's collecting rings.
Yeah, that is a thing.
That is a thing. It started with Sonic 2. You used the warp rings to get into special stages.
Right.
No, Sonic 1, not Sonic 2.
Oh, I forgot about the special stages.
Yeah, Sonic 1.
Yes.
Sonic 2, it's the goalposts.
Okay.
In the Archie comics, there are warp rings.
Yes, there are.
UK comic, actually, they use it quite a bit. In fact, it's the reason how they get to the Draken Empire, but that's a whole other story.
Yeah, so the warp rings are a real thing. It wasn't just, we're going to use the gold rings to do a warp thing. It's real.
Yeah.
Yeah, we know likey Sonic, the comic version of Sonic, he's an asshole to Tails.
Because I was wondering if the portal ring was something just for the movie. So it's like, okay, so at least there are fans behind this thing.
Yeah, it's a good. I like that. I like that as an invention for this film particularly because again, the rings have been used in different. Like in SatAM and X, they're used as a power up, and that's basically been it. So they use them as something else. I'm happy with that.
In the majority of games, they use as currency.
Yeah.
So that was the one minor nitpick I had was, they could have established a little bit more about Sonic's homeworld. They only had 5 minutes, but I think maybe Yuji Naka wanted it that way because he's always about not really establishing a relationship.
Yeah, I mean it's funny because throughout the movie's development, he's been on social media saying what he thinks and stuff. And again, he hasn't worked at Sega and Sonic Team for years, so he doesn't have an official rule on it, but he has been like, they're doing this and that, and okay. I mean, he's the one who's saying, yeah, that first look was a bit odd, but could we have, I don't know, an extra on the DVD just to see what that looked like in some scenes or something? And, can I be in it? That was my thing is, that would be me. It's like, can I be in this at least?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, in the next movie, maybe he's got a cameo somewhere.
Yeah, I mean, I was hoping they were going to have him like sitting out in a bar, drinking a coffee, and then Sonic immediately zipping by or whatever. That's like the easiest thing to do for a cameo.
What about that action sequence on the highway? How did you feel about that? Because I thought that was perfectly like something out of a Wile E. Coyote cartoon. How he has
That's
this.
What I was thinking.
How Robotnik has this giant tank and it just keeps getting smaller and smaller and smaller. I was like, oh yeah.
You mean the chase scene, the Russian doll machine, essentially.
Oh, I didn't think about that actually.
Yeah, it basically you defeat one, another one comes out, defeat that, another one comes out, kind of gag. Yeah.
I thought that was clever.
Explodes.
It was a Russian doll robot, I guess.
Yeah.
it was it was a very well developed chase scene. I think I think they did the action and pretty well in this. I think they developed the emotional spots fairly well on top of that. So and I like when Sonic when Sonic freaks out about, oh, you're leaving Green Hills, how dare you, you son of a. He's
Does he say that? Because I know Tom says that to Robotnik near the end. I know there's almost another.
I was like, no, finish it. It's PG. You can get away with it.
With that moment, I was just with where he's freaking out and suddenly going Electro Man on him.
You see, we have a spear in the console. Why are we arguing about this?
I just said that is an intense moment. That is that was genuinely a heartfelt moment right there, and I think Ben Schwartz really. I was about to say Ben-Hur. Ben Schwartz really tackled that. He tackles the heart and soul of the character, at least with this particular take. And
they do make Sonic. Sorry.
And so with with that, I wonder if that's all it takes to make this. If this is how powerful this version of Sonic is, just on his own, what happens when he goes supersonic?
Oh,
Yeah.
see how that goes.
I mean,
that's
Dan, do you want to go in? Because I know you got to think about his whole, blue lightning business thing.
He's not the fucking Flash, okay?
Mm-hmm.
I know people will think, well, it's kind of the same. They're both speeds. No.
Oh, no.
Sonic's speed is natural. He is fast. Arguably, I've done a theory on this. He gets faster every time he reverts back from supersonic, like the Zenkai from Dragon Ball Z, where a Saiyan, when they're beaten nearly to death, they heal up. They're more powerful now. Kind of the same thing. The blue lightning stuff, like, okay, it's more of a visual representation of Sonic's speed. Fine, I get that. But he doesn't tap into the fucking Speed Force, okay? He doesn't need the blue lightning, especially at the end. There's big spoiler thing at the end, okay? You want to
goes full
you don't want to hear this.
Oh, go for it. Go for
it.
No, let me just say this: if anyone listening doesn't want to hear this, just stick a bug on your head and start rattling it with Roden Papel. I don't care. Just
there is a little button above you that says, "Please use in case of spoilers. A gas mask will come down. Breathe through, and you'll be fine."
I'll just click the X in the corner.
Yes.
Purple knuckle gas is supposed to be oxygen.
It's just the whole Deus Ex Machina thing right at the fucking end. Okay, fair enough.
Yeah, I see.
He's my friend. Sonic comes back from being unconscious, and just one big super sick. I'm going Dragon Ball Z, okay? One big super Saiyan like power up, lightning everywhere, and he absorbs back the power from the quill that Eggman took. Mm-hmm. Why? Why is that?
Because.
Not just
because.
How?
What's the because?
How? I understand why, because it's Sonic's power. It's more innate to him. It's his DNA. I get that. But how? How it is just absorb the power from the quill back into his body, which then leads to one hell of a fucking good send off to Eggman. And honestly, I was counting how many times he hit it. Like, please stop at 8. Please stop at 8. Please stop at 8.
Is it 8? I can't.
No, they went to 12, and it went rapid.
Okay.
So they were going for Sonic the Hedgehog 2 Death Egg Robot.
Okay.
His power level was over 9,000.
But
boo.
But the whole thing at the end is just that kind of lost me. It's like, really? He goes super with the blue lightning, absorbs it back, and it just no. It's just the idea of the blue lightning. Like, fair enough, it's again a visual representation, but no.
I think the problem. I think the problem with that. I mean, one thing I did like about it is that it clearly only happens when he's emotionally compromised. Essentially, in fact, the first time we see it is after the baseball scene. After he said he's. And essentially, I remember watching that thinking, this is like the Lois Dyson Superman movie, which basically this is the bit who he just loses it and just sort of lets all his emotions out by just running around and around again.
And cyborg.
But again, I think one problem is it's not. I think they should have set it up maybe earlier on when he was a kid. There should be just a little thing they could set up because they could have set that up as this is what they want. This is what the kids wanted from him initially, and then you can repeat that with the baseball scene and the thing in the car.
I would say they also could have little things where Sonic is walking away from Tom and Maddie after on the film night, and he's looking back emotional, like I'm alone. I know them, but they don't know me. He could have he could have a little electric thing on his hand, or maybe it just kind of shakes it off. Little things
that would have been helpful.
They were watching one of your favorite movies, Morgan.
Yeah, The Naked Gun.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
I was going to say Speed. Actually,
it's a Paramount movie, so they can get away with it.
Speed is still enjoyable to me.
I still Speed.
Oh yeah, I gotta say quickly. You know what still holds up after many years? TMNT, the first one.
Oh yeah, first live action flick.
Yeah, it still holds up.
Yeah, it does. Yeah,
it really does.
I thought you said Queen, which also holds up, but anyway.
Well, Queen is in this film. We do have a Queen song.
I'm trying to think because they just used like other Queen songs here and there.
Well, we did have like Bohemian Rhapsody, so I think pretty much at this point we're sort of all queened out.
That's a good point. They could have used like different bands and stuff like Journey. Hell, they mentioned ZZ Top. I don't even use ZZ Top on the parse.
Yeah, he does. The ZZ Top hat, didn't he say?
Here's ZZ Top number during that montage. Team was like, "Oh, you got to make a bucket list where you do all these things." Yeah. My 2 cents about the final confrontation. I didn't have too many problems with that.
The chase scene's great.
Him bouncing on the craft, I was okay with because that's something out of the comics. It's not a direct copy of the comic.
Game.
Video game. Sorry.
Overall.
Blood sugar, save me. No, I was okay with that because at least it felt like something out of the video game, even though it was done differently. But the one thing that I will hold a strike, just a tiny little strike against, is, oh, you're not going to take him, he's my friend. It's like, how many times have that's been done before?
I mean, that's been used in a lot of the trailers. I mean, that was already...
brings him back to life, and it's like, really?
Yeah.
And even before that, you have that whole chase scene around the world. I wish that went on a little longer.
Yeah.
He's only like in Paris for 30 seconds, and then Egypt, and then China, and then Egypt.
He's scaling one of the pyramids, and he goes, "That's one of the 7 wonders of the world," and he shoots at it.
I know. It's all right if he does it. It's all right if he does it because he's a genius.
I like how he destroys the Sphinx.
When I saw it, oh shit!
It would have been great if during that whole portal scene, he jumping from one area to another, they jump over to Hawaii and they pass by Mike Wazowski and Sully from Monsters Inc. going, why couldn't we be banished here? Or they jump through space at one point and they just see Stanley with a bunch of aliens.
What was that? Okay, so there I was. No, the thing with the mine was okay.
That was fine. That's an okay gag.
At least it was done well. It's not like Superman 3 with the penguins on fire or whatever in the opening credits. What did you think of the assistant Robotnik had that was doing like all the cappuccino?
Yeah, this is something all the iterations. I've said before, Robotnik needs someone to talk / abuse to, basically.
Snively.
Yeah, Snively, Scratch and Grounder, Up on Q-Bar, somebody.
It should have been Snively. Chris Elliott would have been perfect for that role.
Oh yes, he's Snively taking it on like the guy he played
like
in Scary
Snively.
Movie.
If you just took the beard off, he looks like Snively.
Just have him play the same character he played in Scary Movie 2. Just like except with the tiny hand, just be like. Your assistants your egotistic will get the best of you, you ugly boy. What you say, Snively? I said the machines need a little bit more oil, sir.
Speaking of callbacks, can we talk about the big surprise character at the end? Because that's the only thing.
Yeah, we'll do that. Yeah, we'll get to the end and sequel ideas. I think we need to get to that point.
Yes. So, like I said, sitting in the theater, had my buddy next to me who was saying they should have had Tails in here. They should have had all the other characters. Da 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 da. And then that scene comes up, and yes, Tails. Spoiler: Tails does appear in Green Hill Zone, popping out of a warp ring, saying, "He's here somewhere. I just got to go find him." Takes off at light speed, so flying. So we know Sonic's not the only character with superpowers.
Oh,
think about that for a moment. Look at how fast he was going.
I call bullshit on that. Like he needs the Tails to actually keep going, but that only happens when he's on the ground.
So I'll take it.
Yeah.
So
but
it was a cool cameo.
Here's a little thing as well about Tails' cameo, technically at the end. Although the design-wise, that fucking works as well. I think I want to know what the original design for Tails' cameo was originally. Oh, that would have been
no,
scary.
please no. I don't
but
know.
you know who voices Tails in that cameo?
It is. Yeah. It's the official actress who plays Tails.
Colleen O'Shaughnessy. Shaughnessy.
She confirmed that on Twitter.
Yeah.
And
weirdly enough, sorry, I'm just going to say, because I remember looking at the credits and she's not in the end credits for whatever reason.
So
I was looking for Tails' voice actor. It's like, who? But yep, confirmed. And apparently there's other VA cameos in that film. We just had to fucking find them.
It's like what I said earlier. This is pretty much one giant introduction, and if they're going to make the sequel bigger and bigger, this is going to be one of our little breadcrumb clues to it. We're going to have Tails. It's going to open the door to all these other things, and if that's the direction they're going to, I'm all for it. Have my money.
Huh? Sorry, Dan. What was that?
Have it on
Mobius.
It's just that's the same. That's one of the things complaints I had with the Transformers movies is that Bumblebee actually fucking did it. They had the balls to do it for about 5 minutes. They don't have it on Cybertron. They could have They could just do a film like, okay, let's take this and that from the War and Fall of Cybertron, make a film out of that. So I want to see it on Mobius.
Yeah.
Have
I think
Tom there. Why don't you? I don't care.
Yeah, with this, I actually kind of wonder with Colleen Shaughnessy, people are going to be wondering, okay, they probably got her. They probably got her real easy. She was they were probably just recording lines for the next Sonic game, and they just said, hey, can you do this for about 5 minutes? Send it over to the studio. Easy. But now we have they're also probably doing that because in the sequel they now have the chance to use more of the video game voice actors in the films.
I'm a little bit cautious about that because obviously when they do these, they want to get named actors to play characters, whatever, and blah blah blah. And that's my only fear. That's my fear. I mean, first of all, if they keep with her, I would love that. I think that's great because she's been playing the damn thing for all these years. She might as well get it anyway. But again, that's my fear is because I know sometimes they cast somebody to do a last minute, here's this character and voiced by somebody else. And then when they come back, it's voiced by it's played up by somebody else completely because, they want to get a name or something. So that's my only worry.
Hey, here's an idea. They listen to us with Sonic's design. Maybe they listen to us again to have her for the sequel.
I don't want to go for that bitch again. I already talked about that mess. I already talked about that.
If they do a second one, where do you see this going? Because you have Robotnik trapped in the Mushroom Kingdom with Wilson Rock. Thank you. You have Robotnik trapped in that Mushroom Kingdom with his little rock buddy there and his head shaven with all those parts and stuff. It just makes me wonder what is he going to build with that stuff anyway? And he has that little Sonic quasar. Is there any energy left in that thing?
Build a space hopper or something. And
probably.
I'm guessing
that'd be kind of cool.
It would involve finding a Chaos Emerald, not all 7, just 1.
We're doing
that would the Chaos Emeralds could explain Sonic's power.
Yeah. Actually, one thing is quick Easter egg.
I can definitely see it going that angle. I know a little of the Chaos Emeralds, but not a whole lot.
It ties into the echidnas, which is something I'm going to say. So, actually, one quick thing is then the map he gets, because there's a lot of star maps supposed to be the places he can go. two things. One of them is actually the Sega Saturn logo for some reason as a random gag. And the other one, there is an image of an emerald at the bottom of the page, so that's probably setting up they exist as a mythological thing. So who knows?
I missed that.
Yeah, it's in the film. It's in there. But as a sequel idea, I had this idea what they could have done, and it's redundant, but I'll do a quick version. Is I thought one version they would have done is Sonic ends up back in his own world with Robotnik and they do the whole spiel, and then years later they have another confrontation, and they kind of do like a reverse on what they kind of do a similar thing with X, where parts of Sonic's world ends up in the real world. So, for instance, like the desert zone, for instance, ends up in the middle of like Yorkshire, for instance, just to look really weird. Or actual Green Hill ends up in LA, and then maybe something like a beach pier ends up a chemical plant zone as a fun sort of their world and our world collide together and going on this adventure. But that's not going to happen.
Oh,
if they're doing a sequel, the chemical plant would be perfect for the next film. Like maybe Robotnik built this whole thing up from the ground, like the dog food factory from Terry Jones' Wind of the Willows.
Oh boy.
Or maybe, he's used the quill power to travel to Sonic's homeworld somehow, and the reason why Tails is coming to our world is to take Sonic back there and say, "Hey, look, he's already wiped out the entire Echidna clan. There's only one left."
Yeah, there's like this whole trust thing between Sonic and Knuckles. I don't trust you. I did my whole clan. How dare you?
Robotnik is my only friend now. And then we have the storylines between Sonic 2 and Sonic 3. We'll see what they do.
Maybe that could work. Maybe that could. Like Knuckles could be like the Darth Vader of the second one, where he's like working for Robotnik as Palpatine minus the cloak and the. I'm already
Chuck E. Cheese outfit.
Yeah. I'm already pissing Dan off as we speak. I just know it.
Oh, I think
we should let's wrap this up.
I think for a sequel idea, very quickly, I think if they're going to do sequel, one thing to do, if it takes place, you can set the plot up as in they got to go back to his world because Longhorn's still alive, and somehow the kid there, maybe Robotnik's tricked them to help him, blah blah blah, all that stuff. But I do think the core, if Sonic, what they really need to do with Tails for the second one is they need to make the core of that movie of these two becoming friends, like becoming brothers, and Tom could come along and then sort of have that sort of dynamic of him entering his world and discovering all this crazy stuff while having the relationship with Tails and Sonic developing through that adventure. I think that's a good idea for a sequel, for like the baseline of it, now that we know what's they potentially set up.
Yeah, the whole deal between the two of them is, maybe Tails and says and sees a lot of him in Tails. So
exactly, yeah. But anyway,
would you recommend this to anybody?
Oh yeah, I mean, I think if we're going to say anything, we should all give our proper final thoughts on this. I mean,
I was going to say final thoughts and just the general number of it. I still have problems. It's still a lot of family film tropes in this, but they're done well, and it's fun. And that's one thing. A lot of people are looking at it, it's like how does judges a film, all the nuances, the characters, the CGI, the acting, the actuals, all that. It's like, no, I watch films to enjoy myself. I was entertained. I enjoy myself. Again, there is flaws, but and like I said at the very beginning of this long podcast, it's not great, but it's a good film. And I guess to me, it's like a 6.5, 7 out of 10.
Okay. I'm giving it 3.5 Zillows out of 5.
I think I'll give this one 7 out of 10 endless pasta bowls with twin foxtails sticking out of them flying around. It's not the worst I've seen.
Pasta bowl?
Flying pasta bowl?
Flying pasta bowl with little tails sticking out, just flying around. This is not the worst.
Why is that funny to
me? Please make that a thing. I've seen worse. I've seen way worse. This is not like Hop or Smurfs or
Peter
anything like no. And even there's some that are there's some that are like badly enjoyable, like Masters of the Universe. This is nowhere near that angle. There is effort. We're trying to represent the franchise as best as we can, and for that, if they are going to go in a direction where they're going to make these bigger and better and expand on the universe, then I'm all for it. This is a good movie. It's got problems. Yes, it's cliched. Yes, but you know what? Grown up on some films like that, and I'm okay with it. Hell, I'm not afraid to admit that I'm the only person who actually sort of liked Never Ending Story 2.
Mhm.
I thought you were going to say 3 then.
No, I hate 3. We don't talk about 3.
No.
No, this is why I compare it to Cast and all the others, because it's safe. It may not take risks. There's a little. What makes it different that there's character development. There is actual character development.
Mhm.
Not a lot, but at least enough for me to say they did some effort.
Yeah. And for me, like you said, I think it is like a 6 out of 10 type movie. For me, my expectations before going in, I kind of felt like at its very worst, it'll be like a subpar Paddington. And there are moments like it feels like it wants to be the level of Paddington sincerity and stuff. But at its very best, it's like Bumblebee, where it is an enjoyable thing. There's nothing that new or original. Anyway, yeah, there's nothing new or original in it, but the way it's done, the way the story is told, the various gags, and the attitude of the character, that is what makes this film work. And I think at the end of the day, the strength of this film is down to how Sonic is portrayed in this movie. And like I said, it could have easily gone tits up. We've all, all the 4 of us can say we imagine this going to be a train wreck. I think most people will want it to be a train wreck so they can go, I was right, ha ha ha.
Sonic was never good.
Yeah, like the twats,
That was just turning to the 4 Yorksmen from Monty
I know, it'll just mean, if they were in Yorkshire, they got to go kicking, but that's a different story.
At least it's not as bad as The Cat in the Hat. My popcorn was full of piss and vinegar when I was watching it.
Yeah, but
you know what they need? Sorry, what?
I was going to say, for me, the strength of it is if they want to make this a series, if they want this to be a series, I'm happy for them to play a bit loose with the characters. If I was talking to a comic book artist and I said to him, the thing with Sonic the Hedgehog to me, it's a toy box. You have the characters, you have the setting, but like any kid, you're going to play around with things. You're going to put stuff in places you didn't think before, and you're going to try different things out. Doesn't always work, but it's fun. That's the fun aspect. So for me, the changes they've done here don't affect me. I don't mind the change of how Sonic is, blah, blah, blah. But at the end of the day, if the confidence of what they've done with the character here, and they can do that with Tails and possibly the world of Sonic, whatever they do, I honestly think that's a good thing. I'm still not sure this is going to be remembered as an all-time classic. I'm still surprised Rotten Tomatoes has been so happy with it, but that can change. Exactly. But in fact, the 2 things, I'll end with this. The 2 only minor quibbles I've heard from critics, one of them is Mark Kermode, said he thinks it's passable. It's nowhere in the level of, say, Detective Pikachu, which he really enjoyed, but it's nowhere near Super Mario Brothers or Street Fighter film, which is like, what the hell are these things?
Oh, fuck that guy. I like the Super Mario Brothers movie.
No. I mean, Mark Kermode doesn't
get it's a guilty pleasure.
He doesn't get video game movies, but he liked it for what it is, and he enjoyed it more than you thought. The other person who didn't like it was Movie Bob, but they always had the feeling he's gonna fucking hate this shit.
I don't think he actually said. I don't think he was awake for most of it. He's like, "Oh, you gotta do this because reasons." It's like, no, there was a reason. You just weren't fucking paying attention.
Yeah. Well, they gave it a 2 out of 10 for him, so I kind of felt like, well, it's his opinion, whatever. Put it this way: he thought the best movie last year was Godzilla: King of the Monsters. So,
one of the things he says, "Oh, you gotta go to San Francisco because of reasons." It's like, no, they gotta go to San Francisco because that's where his rings were dropped off at.
Yeah.
Oh, he can't go with top speed because of reasons. It's like, no, Tom shot him in the leg with a tranquilizer. His legs are like jelly right now.
Yeah, that was a funny gag.
Yeah, I will say this. I'll end with this. There's one kind of CinemaSin type thing you can say against this movie. If we've seen at the beginning he can run up buildings. Why can you do that to get the rings and not have to go through the whole get in the bag and then having the whole he's my son? No, he isn't. It's his child in the bag.
He said something about the door being locked, but even that was like, wait a minute, why can't you just run up the building? Is it physics or something?
I know.
Because he would be noticed, and that would give them away.
Oh, maybe. Okay.
I didn't think about
that. There we go.
that.
James has fixed the movie. James has fixed the movie for us. CinemaSins, go fuck yourself.
You're welcome, everybody.
I will say one more thing.
When I was driving around in the car.
Yeah.
I will say one more
car.
with the roof off. I will say one more thing. After last year with Avengers Endgame, which I really didn't like. It's about time I finally saw a movie this year that was bright, colorful, and fun.
Mm-hmm.
And I'll take it for what it is.
Exactly.
And what it is?
At least it wasn't
Well,
3
you surprised
fucking
me in
hours
saying
long.
the game, but hey, that's
No, the time travel in that movie makes me tear my hair out majorly in clumps.
Do not get him started. Do not get him started.
No.
We're burying this hatchet. We are burying this door hammer right
We'll
now.
end the bombshell here. We'll end the bombshell here. We'll end it here.
My last words on this.
Travel aspect. There are fluxes and there's fixed. You can't just say, I'm picking this out because fuck you. Anyway.
I said we'll end the bombshell here, Dan.
Oh, Nikki, you know me and time travel, especially when it comes to Sonic.
Yeah. So trust me, we got to end it here. Anyway,
so my last words on this. If we had Sonic in this movie, do you think they're going to have you get one?
I'm gonna have what? Sorry.
If they had Sonic in this movie, do you think they're going to have Ugand and Knuckles in the next one?
God,
All I heard was something about Santa Sonic.
Sonic.
It's the polydrome like 2 drew this image.
Oh, yeah, that.
Yeah,
well,
that's the only meme in the entire film.
Yeah,
which,
and they found a good way to use that. I actually like the fact
it works. It's actually the meme's actually funny now.
Yeah.
Well, it reminds me of that Russell Howard story where the kid drew that picture of the robber and it looks just like the anchor.
Anyway,
it's like
we're gonna end it right now. This is the Sonic movie review podcast. It's just as long as the fucking film itself, so hey, why not?
Why not?
Hey, we might do a commentary when it comes out. That'd be fun.
That'll be great.
Yes.
Hey, Sonic, you got to come back to Mobius now. Robotnik's starting to piss on the moon.
So, thank you all so much for listening and watching.
Why?
I'm gonna find some gameplay footage to. But
we just broke Morgan, folks. This is what we've done to him.
Morgan Ledger of Faulting, James Sullivan of aka High Me Tude, and Nikki17. Links to those channels are in the description. Go check them out. And thank you all so much for watching. Be sure to support the show over on Patreon. Like, favorite, and subscribe. And if you watch this, give it 5 stars.
Yeah. All right, shut up for now, folks.
I hate the endings of videos. I never get it right. It sounds like I'm begging for money on the street corner.
Give us money or I'll smash your face in.
5 stars! 5 stars!
Give us money or we'll eat your goldfish.
Feed your goldfish.
Revenge for Wanda!
And pheasants, sea eggs. I'll just watch that episode of Monty Python. Anyway, ending it now.
Ending it now.
And thank you all so much for listening. See you next time.
Yes.